Churros. Three sounds, a legacy of meaning. Everyone knows about how Japanese churros have changed the food business globally, but what is a churros? Where did they come from? Why is it called a churros? And what struggles did this legendary food have to go through in order to make it into our mouth in the modern day? Today, we will take one step closer to understanding this mystery. If we truly want to understand the intricate history of churros, we would have to look back to ancient times. But to understand the basics, we only have to go back to around the 16th century. The Iberian Peninsula is where it all started. Although we know churros were first made in the Iberian Peninsula, we don't exactly know where ground one of the first churro is, as it is a heavily guarded secret by the culinary elite. However, scholars who have studied the origins of churros are split into two parties, one being the Spain origin party and the other being the Portugal origin party. Firstly up is the Portugal origin party. The Portugal origin party argues that churros were invented by sailors from Portugal who ventured far away from their homeland and got shipwrecked around the coast of China. Here, they were forced to spend a few years as they waited for another ship from Portugal to come and save them. And during this time, they fell in love with
油条
which is a Chinese food that is similar in shape to churros. After this, they returned home and tried to recreate
油条
making churros in the process. Prominent supporters of this theory include Gordon Ramsay, George Crumb, and Ted Kaczynski. On the other hand, we have the Spain origin party. This party argues that the Portugal origin party cannot be true, and instead, maybe some Spanish farmers got hungry and kinda just made churros on accident. This used to be very popular as a theory, but recently, it has been losing favor due to its connections with the alt-right movement in Spain. However, whether churros were made in Portugal or Spain, what really matters is the symbol that it was for the people of Europe in the day. During that time, the culinary world was under siege by French chefs who believed that only through their ways could people be saved from bland food. If a chef tried to get a job without being certified by one of the three main culinary schools from Paris, they would be driven out of town, and sometimes even killed. A tragic but extremely important example of this is in 1587, when Italian King Otto VIII ordered his chef to be executed because he did not know how to cook the French dish angel wings. The chef, Aris Carlo, was ordered to be executed by being drowned in his family's olive oil vat. Historians have argued that the fate of Aris Carlo brought about a movement which then allowed people to accept churros as a new way of cooking that could replace the terror that had been faced by the culinary world under the French regime. After churros for Europe from the grasp of the French, it became a very loved part of their culture. And so when Europe started colonizing America, they brought churros partly as a food and also partly as a mental support to help them through the roughness of the wilderness. As the colonies in America grew, churros grew with them, having new flavors that appeared such as apple churros, sweet potato churros, and molasses churros, which is sadly no longer made today due to the molasses disaster, which we will go into more detail in a further video. However, one phenomenon of churros that was seen during the growth in the Americas was seen in religion. While there are many examples of this, one of the most remarkable examples comes from the Church of the Holy Body in the state of Mississippi. This church was known for replacing the normally consumed communion bread with churros. And while there was some backlash during the time, Pastor Green of the church argued that the nature of churros would lead people to strive to follow God more. This trend continued to grow more and more into the 1880s, where conservatism had a huge revival and there was a movement to remove churros from the church. After this, churros held a good amount of cultural power, but as World War I and then World War II happened, churros were thrown out of cultural favor in America as they were seen as unpatriotic. After World War II, America had fully replaced their love for churros with the hamburger, claiming it as their new food. This abandonment of churros continued in America until 1983, when Disneyland decided to try to pick up on the old American tradition and start selling churros at their parks. This was seen as a resounding success as the Americans were finally able to reunite with their long-lost friend, and the popularity of churros in America exploded once more. Leading this charge to churros was Disneyland, and ricocheting off of their success, Disneyland made what Warren Buffett has claimed to be one of the most important business strategies in the history of the modern world. Disneyland decided to move their eyes to Japan. However, talking about churros in Japan will have to come in the next episode. Tune in next time to see how Japan used churros to take over the culinary world. Thank you for tuning in to part 1 of History of Churros. Churros.